Yo, what's up, Swag? Gang, you already know what time it is, man. It's your boy Keon Lord, aka KL Swag. Back here with a video, man. Look, man, this is something big that I'm gonna talk about, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Make sure you get your popcorn. Get something to drink because you're about to enjoy the show. This is K Swag Reacts, man. Look, this is something big, but I actually really want to react to, man. Shout out to TPS, man. You already know, man. I know you guys love watching TPS, and when I react to it, now this is 10 terrible NFL coaches who destroy a player's career. Now, I'm a person that played football. I can relate to a lot of things, and also I can, say, what's really going on. Now, this particular player right here, I don't know who the hell he is. I don't know who he is, to be honest. But, if I can hear, what TPS saying, and if it sounds real good and genuine, I can, say, what I think and what I feel. Because, I was the type of player as well, bro. Coach kind of screwed me over, bro. And as I got older, I matured and saw everything, and I see the good, I see the bad, and stuff like that. But look, man, let's get into the reaction, bro. Let's see, bro. Let's see if it's their fault, or if it's the coach's fault, or is it both, or is it, all in the middle, Let's get it.
Sometimes a player burning out of the league isn't exactly the player's fault.
What do you think led to your career ending in Tennessee?
I know definitely because of the fact I got into it with my boss, my coach.
I don't know who that is. Now, I don't know who that is, so the people that I do know, we'll talk about it. Other dudes I don't know.
But one thing that seems to be consistently overlooked is the impact of changes in the system, usually stemming from a new coach and his staff. It doesn't always the system either. So let's take a look back at 10 times a terrible coach completely ruined an NFL player's career. We actually saw this happen with two of the most exciting college football stars from the early aughts, Vince Young and Matt Leinart. Talent, while important,
I heard of Vince
Young,
but I don't know them like
Even
that.
the best college prospects need to find themselves in the right system with the right coaches.
They say he was like that, though.
They risk their careers falling into the abyss, which is unfortunately what happened to Vince and Matt. Vince went 3rd overall to the Titans, and despite winning Rookie of the Year honors in 06, he seemed to fall out of favor with head coach Jeff Fisher rather quickly. The first public splinter in their relationship came in 2007, when Fisher benched Young for an exhibition game after he broke one of the team rules. Although Fisher never publicly disclosed what the transgression was, it's believed that Vince left the hotel the night before the game to sleep at home without informing any of the coaches. This may not seem like that big of a deal, but apparently to Fisher, it was. Perhaps because Fisher never wanted Tennessee to draft Young, so he spent his time on the lookout for opportunities.
With a Marcus High Yield online savings account, you can earn more interest on your deposit than with a traditional savings account.
To dig at the young quarterback. Young, however, was not completely innocent in his downfall. His former OC, Norm Chow, told SI that at times Vince was disinterested and distracted in meetings, which further infuriated Fisher. But if you ask me, that's where Fisher, as a middle-aged man and a head coach of a football team, needed to do a better job of motivating and teaching his quarterback how to be a professional, especially considering that the team had just invested a 3rd overall pick in him. But instead, he became contemptuous and began feuding with Young. Young told SI that multiple times he had closed-door meetings with Fisher in which both men agreed to keep their conversation private. But of course, the next day, he says he'd see Fisher's side in the news.
I used just to hate when me and him sit in a meeting room like me and you sitting, and we'll talk about some things, and then as soon as practice over, the whole media knows what we talked about. So I was like, so you throwing me underneath the bus. As soon as I go out here to talk to the media, they know everything we talked about.
Between a strained relationship and a couple of convenient
no, that's bad. You can't trust your coach.
In Kerry Collins instead of Young, the former Texas Star was undeniably altered. And he ultimately played just 6 seasons in the NFL, never achieving his true potential.
Wow.
On the other hand, was taken 10th overall by Arizona.
Now that I say the coach messed him up. Now, I don't know like, bro, like I said, I was not watching no football in 06. I think I was in middle school or some shit. Probably elementary. I think elementary. century, I think. I don't know, but yeah, bro. Like I was not watching football at that time. I'll say that was the coach's fault, to be honest. Let's get into it.
And while his relationship with Ken Whisenhunt wasn't initially as publicly toxic as Young's,
because he don't seem like he was a bad player, bro.
Definitely played a major role in the brevity of Leinart's NFL tenure. The problem was the Cardinals brought in Whisenhunt the year after drafting Leinart, so the honorary head coach really had no attachment to him, or really even an interest in developing him. Leinart was essentially viewed as an artifact of the Dennis Green era, and Whisenhunt had no issue treating him as such. Now, it isn't like Leinart lit the world on fire his rookie year, but over 2,500 yards and 11 starts should be good enough for a rookie starting on a bad team to earn some benefit of the doubt. Whisenhunt, however, begged to differ. And partway through the team's season opener, he started utilizing Kurt Warner as a situational quarterback, which is a recipe for
he don't got no type of drill.
Quarterback. In the time since, Leinart has spoken publicly about his disdain for Whisenhunt.
Clearly, there is something going on between you and Ken Whisenhunt.
I mean, I think he had fairly large reason why I wasn't as successful as I wanted.
He even took a victory lap on Twitter when the Tennessee Titans, Whisenhunt's next coaching destination, let him go. It's just so important as a young quarterback, no matter how high you're taken in the draft, to end up with the right coach. Just ask Carr, the former #1 overall pick whose career was massacred by Dom Capers and the rest of the largely incompetent brass running the Texans during the early years of the franchise. Capers fractured his relationship with Carr a couple of years in, when he closed practices in a move targeting Carr's father, Roger, who had regularly been in attendance. Now, I'm not suggesting that they needed to include Roger in the coaches' meetings or anything, but they probably could have done without ostracizing the father of the guy who was supposed to be their franchise quarterback. To be honest, that wasn't even the worst of it for Carr in Houston. The entire offensive system they had in place was a mess. This is in part because Capers got his start in coaching as a defensive backs coach, and continued on to work as a defensive coordinator before eventually getting a couple of head coaching gigs. There's a reason to believe that he fell into a similar trap that many defensive-minded head coaches do, and completely overlooked the operations on the offensive side of the ball. Of course, offensive coordinator Chris Palmer deserves a bit of the blame too, but you have to think if Capers had a little bit more knowledge on that side of the ball, he would have been able to facilitate Carr's development. He also would have known better than to continually trot his young quarterback out there with absolutely zero talent on the offensive line.
Wow.
This can also happen with offensive-minded coaches who are too stubborn to adjust their system to the skill set of
I'll put that on the coach. That's on the coach.
Cough, I'm looking at you, Matt Nagy. Mitchell Trubisky wasn't a perfect quarterback by any means. But if you ask me, I really think he got a raw deal in Chicago. Relative to Trubisky's playstyle, Nagy stuck to his system from his...
Don't get me wrong, Mitch Trubisky is like that. Like, I think he's still good, to be honest. I feel like we're going to find out when he plays down. Damn, I got something in my damn eye. Shit. Damn, I got something in my eye. All right. I feel like he's straight. I feel like we really going to find out when he plays for the Steelers, man, be the starting quarterback. But I'm not going to lie, bro. It'd be on the player, too. I'll put it on the player, but we're going to keep listening, though. I'll put it on Mitch,
which, well, it didn't look the same without Andy Reid's oversight and the freakish offensive talents of skilled players like Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. And to make matters worse, Nagy ostracized and frustrated his offensive stars that he did have, like Allen Robinson. So much so that there were rumors that Robinson was so furious with Nagy's game plans that the two didn't speak once for 5 months.
Seeing game plans, seeing how I'm not really being involved, seeing how I'm not doing the things that I've done in the past. You know, so for me personally, it was very frustrating.
Needless to say, Nagy really put his young QB in an awful...
Damn, that was a coach. That was a coach too, but I say it's both though. Because Mitch Trubisky had times that he could have won the game.
This is kind of like what we saw play out with DeMarco Murray and Chip Kelly during the former All-Pro running back's lone season in Philadelphia. Philly fans were stoked.
I forgot what happened to DeMarco Murray, bro. He went down real quick.
Just lured away the league's leading rusher from their hated rivals.
He was.
But much to their shock and disappointment, Murray followed up his last year in Dallas with an absolute dud in the city of brotherly love. Murray started just 8 games and took 193
That's on him,
carries
too. That's
for
on the player, too, bro.
2 yards and 6 touchdowns. Not horrible, but not what you're expecting when you sign the reigning NFL Offensive Player of the Year to a $42 million deal. The Eagles running back grew so frustrated with his role over the course of the season that he met with team owner Jeffrey Lurie to tell him he has no confidence in Kelly as a head coach.
Wow.
What made the whole ordeal even stranger, though, was that Kelly was also the Eagles' GM at the time, and he guaranteed half of Murray's contract. You would think that when you're making that big of an investment in a guy, you'd, I don't know, maybe talk about the offensive system before you ink the deal. That 2015 season, in many ways, soiled Murray's reputation for being one of the top backs in the league. Philly shipped him off to Tennessee for a 4th-round pick swap, a crazy low price tag for a guy who was the most sought-after free agent just 1 year prior. Murray played just 2 years in Tennessee before the team released him.
But God, he played in
he announced
Tennessee.
his retirement from the NFL.
Obviously, the coaching staffs.
I forgot he played at Tennessee.
Coach Garrett, my first year. Coach Malarkey the past 2 years. It's been great.
A rather unceremonious ending for one of the most exciting players in the league prior to Chip Kelly getting his hands on him. On the other hand, we've also seen coaches ruin their players' careers by overusing them to cover up other holes on the roster. This was the case with another Cowboys running back, Ezekiel Elliott, who, if you ask me, is owed a massive debt by his former coach, Jason Garrett, for what he did.
I don't think his career is ruined
Zeke
yet,
was
bro.
one of the most
Not
dynamic
yet.
running backs in the league for the first
Bro.
4 years of his career, all of which he
I
played
don't-
under Jason Garrett.
I don't
and
think-
3 of which he
Bro, I don't
turned
think
the
it's
ball over
destroyed.
300 times, leading the league in carries twice. The lone season that Elliott didn't top 300 came in 2017 because he missed 6 games due to suspension to start the season. Zeke still averaged over 24 carries a game, the highest clip of his career. In the 2 years since Garrett was canned by Jerry Jones, Elliott's production has dipped. He's battled a number of nagging injuries, and he just doesn't have that same explosiveness that he once did. But
Damn.
at least it wasn't as bad as to what happened with RG3 and Mike Shanahan in Washington. Shanahan continued to try to star rookie out there despite serious concerns about his health after taking
What?
a nasty hit to the right knee from Baltimore Ravens defensive end Haloti Ngata.
But that's RG3 fault because RG3 kept running the ball. Just like what they kept doing with Lamar Jackson. They kept saying Lamar needs to stop running the ball. Well, he can run the ball, but be smart and slide. RG3 kind of put that on himself, bro. Because he kept doing all the running, bro. I swear, every time I looked at Dean Productions, I reacted to Dean Productions, bro. Biggest hits, it was always RG3 getting smacked. That's crazy.
And linebacker Paul Kruger. Rather,
But don't get me wrong,
unsurprisingly,
he was a
considering his play
pretty
style
good
as a
quarterback,
true
bro.
dual threat quarterback.
He just kept getting
and
smacked.
Re-entered the knee in a wild card loss to the Seattle Seahawks. His production dropped the following year, and frankly, he looked like a shell of himself. To make matters
That's on the
worse,
player,
he
bro.
was more the same. In terms of Shanahan essentially running RG3 into the ground, despite him not looking 100%.
Doesn't look good, coach.
That's on him, bro.
Gotta go to a hospital immediately.
That's on him.
I don't care what you have to do. Reggie Ray stays in the game.
Until the organization finally stepped in and pulled the plug, deactivating Griffin for the last 3 games of the season. While we're talking about stars who vanished in their prime, how about Barry Sanders, who literally retired when he was still...
And no, I do not look like RG3 because a lot of you guys, when I first started doing YouTube, a lot of you guys said, oh, RG3 is doing YouTube now? Stop it. Stop it.
Top running back in the NFL. The decision was allegedly in part because of his continued frustrations with head coach Bobby Ross, who had replaced
Chris Brown in my head right now,
Sanders'
you guys.
only other head coach in the NFL, and a man who Sanders still believed in. This theory was further supported by comments made by June Jones, a Detroit offensive assistant during Sanders' tenure, when he told the sports gambling podcast that Barry told him that he wouldn't have retired had Jones been named the head coach.
Right after that time, when Bobby Ross was there, the job was open in Detroit. And I was very, very interested in going back to Detroit if I could get the head job. And I called Barry. I said, Barry, if I get the head job in Detroit, would you still retire? He said, absolutely not. I'll play 2 or 3 more years.
As if Lions fans didn't have enough to be sad about. Last but not least, we have two classic New York Jets disasters, separated by nearly 25 years. The first instance came in 1996 with Rich Kotite, widely regarded as one of the worst head coaches in NFL history, and quarterback Neil O'Donnell. In year one under Kotite, O'Donnell lost his first 6 starts, throwing 7 interceptions to just 4 touchdowns, and then missed the rest of the season with shoulder issues. His performance bounced back a little bit the following year when Bill Parcells took over for Kotite, but he never really had that same confidence or ability that he had in Pittsburgh. Fast forward to 2019, and we saw another terrible Jets coach, Adam Gase, absolutely tank the career of former All-Pro Le'Veon Bell. Bell had less total yardage in his 2 years in New York combined than he had during any one of his last 3 full seasons in Pittsburgh, now having bounced around 3 different organizations in 2 years, utterly unable to get the Adam
I feel like that's on Bell too, bro. He's not in his prime no more, bro. That's on him.
Destroyed by a terrible head coach. Join us in the comment section below.
Bro, that's on Bell, bro. At the end of the day, bro. He's not in his prime anymore. I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know down below in the comments, bro. Which coach was worse, or was it on the